Hola, my name is Juan Carlos Velis. I'm an actor, writer, director, producer. I'm very excited to be part of Keith's show today. Keep watching because he's doing amazing things. That's one of the main reasons why I decided to do this with him today, and I'm excited to see what we're going to be talking about. So keep watching. Keith, congrats. Keep doing it, man.
How have you been, and has the pandemic impacted your career?
Oh man, I guess it has impacted everyone. It's crazy what's going on and what we're going through these days. In all honesty, I've been very blessed. I lost a few months at the beginning with the original lockdown that we had. I was in the middle of doing a couple of gigs, and then we got shut down, and so I was able to go back and finish some work once things started to open up, and then I've been working pretty steadily, which is, knock on wood, it's I'm very grateful and thankful that was the case, because I know how much it's affected a lot of people. It gave me a lot of time to catch up on a lot of my writing as well, which is something that I really enjoy. Started as just kind of like for myself, but then it kind of picked up with some theater and some shorts and features, and now I've been co-writing this little mini series that we're doing right now. So the writing also saved me spiritually and mentally as well through this whole craziness.
I agree with you. That's like how I feel with the talk show. I used to work in retail, but this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. This is my way of sticking my foot through the door of the entertainment world, because I read and learn at a 5th grade to high school level. I was classified. I'm not on it, but I fall under the spectrum of being retarded. But this is my way of showing you, hey, he's classified as being disabled. Look at what he's been able to do for 8.5 years. So for me, this is my way of saying I didn't go to college. I don't have a BA's. I don't have a bachelor's. Some people say I have a bachelor's and BS, but look at what I'm able to accomplish on my own. And the reason I want to actually start off with the writing is I do have some great ideas I would love to throw past you. The first one is, when you actually write, would you be interested in ghostwriting?
Yeah, I've done that a lot with a lot of friends, right? I've helped sort of like edit in terms of story editing. I've never written like a ghost, like a ghost writer sort of thing, where like I write the entire script and for someone else. You know what I mean? Let me take that again, because there's a sound here, and I don't want it to.
No, I don't hear anything.
Okay, so I'll take that question again in terms of the ghost writing. Sorry, can you repeat it again, brother?
Yeah. So if I asked you if you would like to ghost writing my story, like a book, because once I reach 1,000, my goal is to write a book. I was wondering, because I suck at writing, would you be interested in being my ghostwriter?
Oh, I totally would. I've done it before, right? I've helped a lot of my friends in terms of story editing and helping create their scripts, where my name doesn't appear on the written by or co-written by, but I've helped a lot behind the scenes. So yeah, man. We can talk about your book when it's ready. I'm in the middle of writing one as well, in terms of my sort of anecdotes and experiences within the entertainment industry, in terms of people that I worked with and just like auditioning and all that stuff. So yeah, for sure, man. We should talk.
Absolutely. Now, I do want to talk to you about producing and being a producer, but I actually have another question or two about being a writer. How do you build a character? Now, with that being said, the Keith Andrew person, it's my first and middle name. So for me, that's actually the character that you see on the screen. So how would you go about building your own character?
Well, it's I mean, because I like to consider myself a theater actor that's doing film and TV. I just haven't done theater in a long time, and that's by choice, I guess. In terms of building the character, you have a lot more freedom, I guess I would say, in theater, because it's a lot more, you know, bigger than life as well. In terms of film and TV, it's more of you and your essence and your persona within that particular situation, right? So the scene and it dictates it, right? And you end up sort of going in as almost yourself. Like, I mean, that's what I do. I just read specifically before an audition, right? I'll read the sides like a whole bunch of times, and each time I'm trying to see what hits and what lands, and then I try to amplify those moments that I felt through that first read through, right? And then and I flag those so that the next time I read it, I guide myself through those moments, and it's just a matter of running it, right? Until all of a sudden it's crazy how it just clicks, right? And I mean, and it's different because there's some characters that you kind of have in your back pocket, and you're like, okay, I've played this sort of character before, so you know where to go. And I have like my little tricks where like I'll get into a character just with a tiny memory or a tiny look or a tiny fidget of my hands, or like sort of the placement, and I'm there. Like I feel it, right? I'm there, like and that's how like I end up building stuff. So it's mostly to sort of answer your question. It's mostly for me is I bring a lot of myself and my background and my experiences, and then adapt into that particular situation and that particular moment, and then being as truthful and as close as I can to that, to the text, to the script.
Well, let me ask you this one. How would you describe, or how would you change my character?
I'm sorry.
How would you describe and how would you fix my character?
How would I describe your character?
Yeah, and how would you fix it?
You know, right away, just from the few exchanges that we've had, you seem like a really kind person, very open, with a big heart. That's what I would go in. That's what I would go in, and in terms of the playfulness of it, and then I would look at your past the sort of look, you know what I mean, in terms of the more the sincerity inside of you, and then I would attach to that and approach it that way, and play it that way. I mean, I've played some like real people, you know, where I've played it like real people before, and that's how I did it. Just, first of all, it's like the way they talk, their intonation. Then it's like their movement, and then you sort of like bring yourself into it and combine the two. So in terms of how I would fix it, I don't know, man. You seem pretty cool to me.
I appreciate it. I'm a big wrestling fan. I like Bill Maher, even though he is an asshole at times, but who isn't? But you know, even if you look at my YouTube channel, if you haven't seen it, I was interviewed on Manhattan Neighborhood Broadcast, and they're like, "Oh, I want my show to be like," and this is before I even knew there's conspiracies about Fox News. I liked Bill O'Reilly, even though I know he's a fake now, but I still like him as a producer and being on the camera. I'm a big fan of Bill Maher. So I try to do it professionally, but also tell jokes and get up and move around. So I have yes, this is a normal talk show segment, but we can do spontaneous things. So it's a little like a normal show, but has that hint of you don't know what I'm going to say. That's why it gives the wow factor.
Well, the writing specifically, what motivated me, I mean, if I look back to the first time I even thought about, jotting stuff down, and I mean, and from the perspective of doing it professionally, you know what I mean? It was when I started writing a play way back, about the ghost of Charlie Chaplin. that this actor's apartment was haunted with the ghost of Charlie Chaplin, and which I never finished. I should revisit that. And honestly, I started doing that because I wasn't working. I mean, I literally just graduated from theater school, and I knew I had a gig coming up towards the end of summer, and but we graduated in April, so that whole time I was kind of like itching, to create, and I just thought of this thing, and I started putting it down, and so the need to jump into it as fast as I could is what motivated me. It's like when I'm watching a soccer game, right? I'm like, my feet are always itching. I want to get in there and play. It's the same. It's the same when you're watching a really good play or a really good movie. I'm always like, I wish I was part of that,
When I was younger, I can watch wrestling for hours. Now, when I watch, I'm like, yes, I'm tapping my finger, and it's like I can't do it for an hour. I can watch it, but then I'm kind of like fidgeting, and I'm like, you know what? There's so much I can be doing. I would change this. I want to be part of it. It kind of like if you have ADD, it's hard to stand still. But one thing I do want to say for listeners, I keep moving the page back and forth. So if you hear the paper in the background, I do apologize. Shouldn't have stapled the damn thing, but I just found it easier. But if you have the heart and passion for what you do, and either acting, producing, that's half the battle. And it's never work what you're doing. So it's for me, what I'm gonna ask you is it hard for you to sit around and saying, yeah, I can sit back and relax, but your mind's always processing, I can be doing so many other things right now.
Yeah, I mean, and that's where the writing comes in for me, right? Where whenever I'm in between gigs and you don't even, or the times when you don't even know when the next one is coming, the writing really saves me, and that's why I always say, my acting supports my writing. um, and it has really helped me, and that's what been the motivation behind it. I don't know if I answered your question correctly.
No, you did. Now this one's a two-parter because you also mentioned you work in production, but I'm going to finish the writing one with this one. Let's see, I'm trying to find out what's good way to phrase this. What's hard about catering and building to the right audience as being a writer and being in production?
And to build an audience, man, that's insane. That's I I don't have any tricks. I don't try to please anyone, in all honesty. I do with what I enjoy. Obviously I will go and as an actor I will go and do a lot of different things. Sometimes I don't believe in them. Not politically I will never do something that I don't believe in. But and that's how I've been able to build sort of like the audience, right? Like through the projects that you get yourself involved with, or the projects that you get hired for. it's a hard journey, right? It's been tough, obviously, and I feel like, you know, there's a ton more to cover still, which I'm fighting hard to get there, right? And it's hard because, you know, in terms of the acting, you're always like, ah, if everything aligns properly with in terms of the producers and directors and everything aligns properly, then yeah, then you book the part. And right now with the pandemic, it's so hard because now it's easy for casting to just have a whole lot of people, right? Compared to before, where like they would see 10 of us, now they're seeing 100. So it's a lot harder to book parts now with that we're doing everything virtually. In terms of the writing as well, man, you build that audience and you hope that things that you create resonate with people. And again, I'm not doing anything specifically for a certain target audience. I'm doing it for what I believe in, what I think is right, and what I think I want to say in terms of our world. And hopefully that resonates with someone. And the hard part, to answer your question, is yeah, you have a ton of stuff that you create in terms of the writing and all that, but financially to do that, it's like another insanity that you try to so much that you have to go through to get something tiny, even tiny, to get it made. So that's the hard part, right? Actually going through with the creation because of the finances.
No, I agree with you 100%. For me, I don't put money into this, but I do at some point. But right now, I'm just doing what I love. But my thing is, my message is about people with disabilities, showing you labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be. To prove them, you can stand out something. So when I pitched that idea, now go ahead. I apologize.
No. I'm saying I totally agree with you. You can't let other people dictate what you want to do, right? You got, and that's what I was trying to say with the last question. You got to do something that makes you happy and makes you want to say the things you want to say, right? So and don't let other forces change your perspective in terms of, I mean, I've always said, if I don't get hired because of something I've said before publicly in terms of politics or things that I believe in, and if they don't want to hire me because of that, then I don't want to work with you. Plain and simple. I'm not gonna change who I am just to please a director or a producer or a casting director. I'm pretty open in terms of who I am, in terms of what I believe in, and I'm always trying to get on the right side of things, right? So if those people don't want to work with you, or they're trying to dictate things on you, then see, I don't want to be part of that. So I'm sure I've lost a lot of gigs because I've pissed off a bunch of people just because in terms of what I say, and very openly in terms of politics and our world.
You're right. I don't pussyfoot around. I don't sugarcoat things. I kind of I'm like a big Resman fan. I'm like CM Punk. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I mean, I drink socially. I'm not an alcoholic, but I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do drugs. I walk to the beat of my own drum. And if something pops into my head, I just go and say it without thinking about the repercussions. But the question I want to ask you next is, for people who have disabilities, how can someone follow in your footsteps and do what you do? What are your words of wisdom?
Well, I don't know about wisdom. Like I said, if you want to do it, you go ahead and do it. It's we're the only ones that put, you know, barriers within ourselves, right? If you want to fly, go for it, man. I know that there's a lot of actors in the union here that, you know, are disabled, and yeah, no one's telling them that they can do it. And there's a lot of changes that need to happen, right, to be more inclusive and with everyone, and we're fighting for all that as well, right, to make sure that there is equality and equity within the industry as well, and the proper representation of everyday life, because you and I are part of this world, and a lot of the times you and I are not represented up on that screen, and we need to fight for that to make sure that it's represented properly.
I agree with you 100%. No, it's funny because a lot of people are like, oh, when it cast for people with disabilities, you want these big household names like John Cena, The Rock, Van Diesel, and pretend to be disabilities. But wouldn't it make more sense to actually have someone who has disabilities if that's what you're looking for, instead of making the quick buck?
Yeah, I mean, and that comes to, yeah, like, I mean, I always talk about all that, right, in terms of the cultural backgrounds. Yes, and I know we're actors and we're portraying different people. What I always say is, like, go ahead, portray anyone, as long as it's true to that particular cultural background. You know what I mean? You can play any nationality, but you can't play someone else's being. And I mean, and that's a whole crazy kind of worms that needs to be we'd be here for hours talking about it. But for me is, I've always been a believer of, like, yes, we're all acting. I know that we're acting. Go ahead and cast the best actor for the job. Awesome, good for you. Cast it. And I'm talking specifically for the Latino parts, right? I've gone out a lot for Latino parts where they end up casting Greek or Italians playing us, and that's what gets me angry. Sure, if that person was better than me at the audition, awesome, more power to you. Go ahead, give him the part. But now, please be respectful and change that part. Don't keep it as for a Latino, and then you gotta give accent and dialect coaching and all that, and so change. Be respectful. Change the name. Just the way when I've booked some parts that weren't specifically written for a Latino, right? I prefer when they actually change the name to represent more of who I am, because I'm not trying to say, oh, I'm that person. No, I'm yes, and we're all acting, and we keep going back to that. Yes, we're all acting, but there's got to be that respect in terms of the culture and disabilities as well, like the way you're saying it.
No, absolutely right. Now I do have a couple questions for you off the air, but the first one is, what is coming up on the horizon for you, and where are you heading to next?
Well, for me next, finishing this little mini series that I'm directing. I'm acting in one episode, and then directing the other 5. Well, 6 of them. I'm not acting in the other 5. So that's what we're doing. We've shot 4. We're filming 2 more. In terms of my writing, there's a couple of scripts that I'm knock on wood, if schedules work out, that I'm hoping that we can shoot down in El Salvador. And yeah, man, that's what's coming up for me in terms of, there's a little play that I've written as well, called Howling Winds. And it's kind of a crazy story because I wrote it during the SARS pandemic that happened in Toronto back in like 2003, around there. and if I remember correctly, and then it was in a USB key, and I lost it, and I literally found it during the lockdown that we had for COVID a couple of years ago, the first or however long it was, that first lockdown, and I found it, and I threw it into my computer, and I'm like, what is this? And it was this play that it was so current and so like it could be happening right now, and I was like, whoa, this. And I literally just kind of went through it, and it was like, wow, I could have written this yesterday or today, and it was so weird to see how it stood that whole time. And the point is that we're doing a workshop production of it with a company here in Niagara, so I'm excited for that as well. Sorry, I blame my Spanish brain, where like I talk and I go in different spots.
No, I get that a lot. It's hard. When you do something, you always think of, how can I make it better? How can I make it better? But I do have a couple questions for you off the air, but I want you to be brutally honest for our fans and listeners out there. And don't worry, your Instagram will be on the bottom of the screen, so our fans will get in touch with you. And people who would like to interview you as well, they can definitely check out the video, like and subscribe to the Keith Andrew Network. But that's not what I wanted to say. What I wanted to say is, when I first approached you to be a guest on my show, what made you say yes?
Oh, because I've seen what you're doing, and like I said, man, I know that what I've noticed, that you have a big heart and you're very open, and I like collaborating with people like that, right? You obviously you don't want to work with assholes, and so yeah, for sure. It's why I wanted to do this and get to know you better as well, because I've learned a lot about you as well, man. So and I hope this is the beginning of a nice little friendship and partnership.
No, absolutely. Now, for our fans and listeners, make sure if you're watching on YouTube, hit that bell icon. You'll be notified. Brand new interviews are up and ready. If you're watching on Instagram, on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, hit the notification. You'll be notified. But as I wrap up all our talk shows, it was a real honor and privilege having you as a guest. I want to say thank you very much. And until we meet again, catch you later.